And we're back with another episode of Down with the Browns. I'm here with some great people. We got Ed in Columbus,
What
Meggie.
up?
We got Mac the Buffalo. And we got some other people in the background with Ed in Columbus. What is
What's
up,
up?
guys?
What's up? We're gonna do some breaking news. This is Ed in Columbus with your Down with the Browns. Breaking news. I am chilling with the best fans in the world. Let's go.
Eddie Columbus.
Let's go, Browns. I was at training camp today, and I really didn't see much, but I had a great time. I think the Browns are going to be great. Huge season. Glad to see you guys will carry the torch tonight. But I'm going to party with Nick Carnes. Say hi, Nick Carnes. Hi.
So,
This is Ed in Columbus with your Down with the Browns. Breaking news, signing off and having fun. Have a great show, guys. Peace.
all right, peace out, Ed. See ya. He's a psychopath, man.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have no idea what that was.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, there's some stuff that happened this past weekend. Our boys in the orange and brown got to finally play.
Yeah. So really quick before we jump into it, just some updates. A lot of people heard last week, Jakeem Grant done for the year with a lower body injury. We just learned on Friday, second play of the game, Nick Harris went out with a knee. And the third stringer below him, Dawson Deaton, also out this practice with what looked like a knee injury. Now, on the other side, flip side, Denzel Ward is back off the PUP list, so he's no longer a pup, he's a dog. And what is it? Oh, and then Myles Garrett's out for personal reasons, but will be back. So that's on the injury front.
Yep. Bro, I feel like we are getting hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't like it at all. At all.
Injuries are part of the game, but it's pretty tough, especially when you see a guy like Nick Harris. And I've talked about him a lot. You've talked the whole team.
Like we were very hyped to see Nick Harris because we saw what he did against the Packers on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve or whenever it was they did play. And he did great against one of the best defensive tackles in the league in Kenny Clark. And he held his own. So we were like, okay, this guy's going to make that next step. We're going to be fine. First or second play?
Yeah, second play. He just got guy dumped him and his feet were still on him. He just kind of fell the wrong way. And I mean, that's the nature of the game. And it's really tough to see just because, we saw the work that Nick put in the offseason down with the Browns, had a cool segment on him. And it's just really sad when a guy works that hard and then, that happens. But again, that's the nature of the game. It's tough.
Yeah. And then our seventh round pick and Dawson Deaton also got hurt earlier today. So now we're down to Ethan Posick and Brock Hoffman. I think that's how you say
Brock
his name?
Hoffman, who's also a rookie out of Virginia Tech, which is interesting. Now, Jacob Roach pointed this out, one of the guys on Network 216 here.
Yes, sir.
That Hoffman was actually a step above Deaton on the depth chart there. So, I guess we still have the backup's backup, but Ethan Posick, I mean, that's why they signed him, just in case Nick Harris didn't work out or, God forbid one of these instances happened. So, AB and the front office had a plan, and, Ethan Posick is that plan. Now, a lot of speculation about bringing J.C. Treader back. Not a lot of noise on that front. And, there is a lot of speculation that because he's the PA president, that not a lot of teams and not a lot of owners really like him. Just with his hard stances that he's taken on player safety, and rightfully so. He's taking care of his guys. So, it's just kind of really tough. But again, Ethan Posick looked pretty solid. It's only time will tell, but they will want to see what he can do first before making a move there.
Yeah, I say we give him we'll give them this Eagles game. Is it Sunday or Saturday we play them?
This Sunday.
Okay, yeah.
Sunday.
I say we let that happen, and if it don't go well, I mean, I would be calling the Philadelphia Eagles, be like, hey, we need a center. And your boy is from Cleveland.
Jason Kelsey. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the best and smallest center in the game. It's pretty nuts. But again, it would be really interesting if that were to actually happen. Now, granted, I doubt it because of how
Yeah.
valuable he is. On that offensive line, and he's a great leader.
Mm-hmm.
But if some instances that were to happen, it'd almost be Nick Harris, but better because they're the same kind of type alignment. They both move very well at the second level.
Uh-huh.
They're both very quick and a little bit, more stout in stature there. So
yeah, and Nick Harris could also pick his brain because I mean they are the same build, so they're similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
He could also pick his brain, grow from that, and I mean Kelsey's probably going to retire next year, I'd say, or just try to go out and get a big contract.
Getting him on a 1-year deal there. But interesting that you bring up that point because I believe it was Kevin Stefanski in a press conference that was talking about the fact that now that they have Ethan Poches, who's a little bit bigger guy, they're going to play more to his strengths, which makes sense because you don't have now. Granted, no knock on Ethan Poches. I think he's a pretty good offensive lineman. He won't as an offensive lineman. The best kind of compliment that you can get is that you're not a liability, and that's practically what the position is. You know what I mean? So, he's just a big. He's 6'4", well over 300 pounds. So it's 6'6", even better. So, he's not that smaller guy that can necessarily kind of pull and get himself kind of quickly, off the line of scrimmage. But it's definitely going to be interesting just to see kind of like from that aspect of, are they going to run less power? Are they going to run more zone? Like how does that change up their run call? So it's going to be definitely something to look for over these next couple of weeks in the preseason.
Yeah.
Now everybody's like, hey, it's just an offensive lineman. But everybody that says that, I challenge them to look at 2014 when Alex Mack went down. They went from rushing over 200 yards a game to, losing, 5 straight?
In 14,
they were
started off
7-4.
Yep, 5 straight.
Yeah, and then they lost 5 straight. So, definitely something of concern here.
I don't want to say it was just Alex Mack going down. May have been a little Johnny Football, Brian Hoyer.
Yeah.
And, that after about the Atlanta Falcons game, there was definitely some tension in that locker room for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, as you just said, if you're not hearing the O-lineman's name, that means it's good. It's weird because like most of the time, like you want to hear your name get called, like when you're an offensive lineman, when people point you out and you get talked about a lot, it's usually not good. It's like, oh, he's getting killed. Or just something like
false start or a holding. Yeah, exactly.
But I'm sick of the injuries. Can we turn off injuries? Put it on rookie for the rest of it. So but
tough part of the game.
And before we go into like recapping this preseason game, I've got to ask, man, we've got to bring in a receiver. Like, and if you had to pick any receiver
right now,
trade, free agency, it don't matter. Who would you like to see the Browns kind of go after?
So my answer kind of works on all levels, and I think it's super realistic. Scotty, give me Scotty Miller out of Tampa Bay. I mean,
turn me up.
He's that deep threat that this wide receiver core still needs. And I mean,
get me pumped.
You could be the fastest guy in the league, but if you can't catch, there's no point in being a receiver. You might as well be a defensive back. So, yeah, I'd definitely say Scotty Miller. I don't think it would take much. He's in a crowded wide receiver room already. So,
Very crowded.
I'm sure that he would be, open to playing on, who's that? Alan, Sophia. Hello as well.
Hi.
So yeah, I mean, I just think it would make sense. Oh yeah, no, we'll get into that
Oh
in a
man,
second.
yeah, we'll talk about that here in a
Yeah,
second.
we'll talk about that in a second.
Oh man, I can't go like this one.
Oh, great. So interesting about that, he commented on Odell Beckham Jr. commented on one of Baker's posts and said "Go shine" or something like that. So it's kind of threw a weird monkey wrench in my understanding of their whole
I think
relationship.
that they are friends off the field, but I don't think they're friends. It's like, you got those friends, but you wouldn't go into business with those friends. I think it's one of them top things.
Okay.
If you don't want to work with them, because it would ruin the friendship. One of them top deals. I think they might have reconnected. Just yeah,
Could be a possibility.
yeah.
I mean,
That's what I'm kind of gathering from it all.
maybe Odell Beckham has a Super Bowl ring and just doesn't care anymore.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
might be it. Might be it.
Could be anything.
But man, I back that up though with Scotty Miller. As soon as I saw Julio Jones go to the Bucks, I was kind of upset because I wanted the Browns to get Julio. But then I started thinking, I'm like, they got that boy, Scotty Miller. Dude, he's so quick. I think he would fit perfect in a Kevin Stefanski offense.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's one of those guys to where they gave him such few touches last year, but and even the year before, and he still produced. I mean, ever since that NFC Championship game right before the half where they snuck in that go route and he just got behind the defense so quick. And and that's just what this defense needs. Even for you don't need to be in that speedster role and get 60 catches a year. No, you just need to be a threat that the defense respects. So that way you have that kind of spacing. So that way, you're not going into every single game facing, 9-10 man boxes.
Like last year.
Yeah, like last year.
Exactly. But yeah. Oh, Matty G has a great,
TY or 13.
I would love to have TY. Not gonna lie. I know he's not the same TY from back in the day.
But he's so injury prone. It's like Will Fuller. I'd love to have him.
Okay, but so was Jadeveon.
He can't stay on the field.
So was Jadeveon. I mean, you just don't know because it is different, but still, you ain't got to play him as much. I mean, he was getting first and second receiver reps. He wouldn't have to do that here. He'd be third or fourth on the depth chart, maybe even, just depending on how the rest of the team comes along, how Harvey Jr. comes along with it, depending on how serious that injury is. Vet presence could help out. Maybe he shows Anthony Schwartz how to catch a football. That may happen. Or they just need to bring back Stickum and just spray his gloves. So if it hits,
maybe like those rec specs. Maybe he just needs a pair of glasses.
The seal stuff, the guy. He's like, you could even do a boat or something like that. And he smacks that little tub of water, smacks it with authority. He's like right there and seals it. You know what I'm talking about?
What?
That seal tape stuff.
Wait, you talking about Flex Seal?
Yeah. Oh! They put some of that on his gloves, man. Make some gloves out of that. He'd be out there. Odell Beckham and stuff, Oh, be great.
It'd be great. Sadly, that's not the reality.
Yeah, I know.
Of the situation.
It is what it is. Let's get into that preseason game a little bit. So the Browns flew down to Jacksonville, played the Jaguars. And the Deshaun Watson did not have the outing we all wanted to see from our $230 million guaranteed quarterback. 1 for 5. I'm not going to put that all on him. Anthony Schwartz, the guy we've already bashed a couple of times, had some early drops.
I got choice words for him. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but, at the end of the day, the play that stood out the most for me for Watson was the one Schwartz did drop. I know it means nothing actually, but the pocket collapsed. Watson moved up and then rolled out right, read all his options, and then threw to the wide open receiver. It was just great to see that, the pocket collapses. Quarterback did not panic. He did step up and he made a play. Like, he did his job. The receivers just got to finish it. And then last year, I mean, we were just so used to seeing Baker. He'd panic. I know he was hurt, but there was a little bit of panic there. And then he'd either rush the throw, take the sack, turn the ball over, or just usually last year, a lot of that wasn't solid play, Like, not much came out of it like that. But, I mean, it is preseason and it is Jacksonville.
Yeah, see, now I have a little bit like more negative look on surprise, Debbie Downers being a downer, but
yeah, a little Debbie.
you know what? We'll move up my Buffalo hot take. Throw it on the screen because I got one right now.
Oh, let me find the banner. Hold up, man. Don't put me on. Oh, there it is.
Buffalo hot take right here. Close your eyes, ignore the personnel changes. That offense that we saw on Friday is the same exact thing that we saw in 2021. Behind schedule. I understand, that it is preseason. It does not go on the books. It doesn't really matter. But at some point on 3 drives, now I'll read this right off in sequence. First drive with the first team offense, you have Watson. So first play, boot left, Watson airmailed it. Okay, jitters, hasn't played football in over a year. Second play, Schwartz with a deep over the middle drag, right in his hands, dropped. Third play, 4 yards on a handoff to get better positioning for a punt. Okay, little rough start. Second drive, fumbled the first snap. Ended up recovering it mid handoff, handed it off to Dearness Johnson for a 2-yard run.
Yeah.
Play after that, Dearness Johnson fumble. Third drive, holding on DPJ, 10 yards. Then a 7-yard check down to Njoku, false start on Dunn, holding on Jed Wills while Schwartz dropped another pass wide open right in his hands. So even if he did catch it, would have been brought back. And then Felton dropping a what I'd like to call a ground ball. I mean, it was thrown into the dirt. Watson had pressure on his face, couldn't go anywhere. So, you have 3 drives for a total of 7 yards. You have 3 penalties alone on the third drive, which is 2 penalties alone on the third drive, 3 on the first 3 drives.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't understand it. It'd be one thing if the Jaguars came out and they just had, an abundance of talent and they were just simply the better team. And it was, it was just one-on-one plays that they just couldn't make. No, I mean, looking at the snap, not holding outside of the shoulder pads.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. Like, Kevin Stefanski and the first team offense should be absolutely embarrassed by what happened. Like, you can't even get a first down on 3 drives. Like, that's so just.
I get where you're coming from, but the only thing, a lot of people hit the panic button that first 10 minutes of the game. Everybody's hitting the panic button. Oh, we're seeing the same stuff. But the one thing that I noticed, we didn't have Amari Cooper out there.
Yeah.
We didn't have Nick Chubb. We didn't have Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
We didn't have Joel Bitonio out there. We didn't have Jack Conklin out there. Most of our first team players were not out there other than like Watson. You had Taylor out there for a little bit. You had DPJ, but he's our wide receiver too.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have most of our first team out there going against pretty much their entire first team defense. I'm not like making excuses, but when we're at full strength on offense, which we're not now because we just lost our starting center. But when we're full strength at offense, I think that they're moving, going all down the field. And because I think that connection between Amari Cooper, just having Amari Cooper on the field just separates everybody. But I mean, even going back to watching like Schwartz and DPJ, they were still getting separation. It was just when you don't have most of your starting offensive line, pocket collapses, you got a new quarterback back there. It's still going to take some games. Like, I mean, even when Watson comes back from the suspension, however long that may be, it's still he's not going to come out and throw 500 yards and 27 touchdowns in the first game. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
Like, I mean, would I like to see that? Heck yeah. Like, I mean, let him come out. Let him come out slinging that thing. Like, but at the end of the day, it's not going to happen. It's going to take a little bit. Team chemistry is the most important thing in any sport. Like, I mean, having the right people at the right places. You could have the best player at every position, but if they do not have team chemistry, they're not going to win half as many games. I mean, they're going to win games sometimes just pure off talent. Like, I mean, you even go back to the 2019, 2020 Browns. Most of them games, they won just pure off talent that they won, even though it was only like 6.
Yeah.
Because coaching was terrible. The chemistry was terrible. Discipline was off so bad. But, like, once you get everything in line, everybody's on the same page, same agenda, there's nothing breaking up the team. You could have, like, me and you out there, and we could win some games out there. Well, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, having –
yeah.
But, like, team chemistry is the most important thing, I think, on a team. Once they get that down, I think it's Super Bowl, Super Browns all day, baby.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, just talking on the passing offense alone, it's just, and granted, I take no joy in this, hey, I was right and I told you so. But, Anthony Schwartz, I don't even know where to start with that. And the Browns have been very vocal. And when a guy like Nathan Zagura is saying that Anthony Schwartz needs to step up, there's an issue because, and God bless Z, he's one of the most positive Cleveland media guys
For sure.
I've ever listened to or watched, and even he's just like, hey, if Anthony Schwartz doesn't work out, mac and cheese 5, that's awesome. But yeah, he's saying that even if Anthony Schwartz doesn't work out, they got to look for somewhere else because again, they need that kind of spacing for this offense to work.
Sure.
Because the more crowded the coverage is, it's going to be very hard on this team.
Yeah.
And it's they banked so much on Anthony Schwartz because we came to this off season and Amari Cooper's great, but we can't just depend on Amari Cooper to hit every single deep route and keep this defense on it. Somebody else has to do this.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing I really hadn't thought about, but like, what happens if he gets hurt? We're gonna have DPJ. We're gonna go right back to where it was last year. DPJ is your 1.
Yeah.
And then who's your 2? Anthony Schwartz, David Bell. Like, I hope David Bell balls out this year. I'm not saying he can't.
But he's not a speedster. You know what I mean? He's
rookie.
more of a slot. Yeah, he's more of a slot like possession guy. I think that they were really confident with where they stood on Schwartz and not bringing an extra guy in because they were also kind of banking on Jakeem Grant, right?
Yep.
And he showed a lot of flashes when he got traded to Chicago with just how creative he can be. When he was almost playing wing back because he was taking sweeps. He also did pretty much like go routes, as well as trying to run routes across the field. So and he looked pretty good too in training camp. And it's just like, and then he went down, and then now you have Schwartz struggling. Which, by the way, he was at practice for 2-3 days before playing in this preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just like, I feel like now, granted, I'm not in those meetings. I've never met the man, but it almost seems like there's sometimes some coaches like baby players.
Yeah.
And they're okay with like these kind of like hiccups when it's just like, I mean, you want to know the difference between winning and losing, and it's the pursuit of perfection.
Mhm.
And it doesn't seem like that for some of these guys. And Anthony Schwartz would be one of the like. I saw this clip of Julian Edelman on this podcast talking about Belichick gave him crap for 5 minutes straight on one banana route that he dropped.
Mhm.
One quick little flare route that hit his hands, dropped it. And he just kept rewinding it over and over again. And Belichick went through and named 25 people that do not have the talent that Julian Edelman has and said, so-and-so could have caught this. So, like, it's just like, where is that with some of these guys on the team? And not just the wide receivers, but, other players as well. I mean, there was an offensive lineman, number 67, of course, not to call somebody out, but he had 2 false start penalties in this game. And it's just like, at some point, you're the offensive guard. You're right next to the ball. Who was this? Ben Petrula had 2 false starts. And it's just like, watch the ball, like pay attention to the details, because this is what's going to get you beat. It's already hard enough that, their QB is going to be suspended for an amount of time. It's already hard enough that there's a lot of this, negative energy around the building. Granted, the Browns knew what they were getting into with Deshaun Watson, but, the baggage kind of gets to people. I mean, we heard the booing. We heard, like, players are getting interviewed about this kind of stuff. So obviously, it's noticeable. Obviously, they get it, they hear it. And it's just, the Browns are already behind the 8 ball so much going into the season. You cannot beat yourselves. And that was the biggest problem that I had, on Friday. Now, and that's, I'll say this. So let's, turn the tide here. 1, it was a preseason game. And 2, that first team offense was really the only huge problem that I had with the Browns on Friday, because Cade York made all of his field goals, 30-yarder and 3 extra points. So, hey,
how about that defense?
And how about that defense?
Bro, we did not have but like maybe 2 or 3 starters out there. And their first team offense scored what? 6? Their first team offense, or was it 13?
2 field goals and a touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Which
didn't have
one of them they got a fumble in the red zone.
Yeah.
Because the Browns fumbled at the 25.
Oh yeah, Dearness fumbled it.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? It's and granted it was a blown coverage. But it just, when I watched the Browns defense, it kind of just reminded me a lot of last year, in terms of just like what was open was in front of everybody. Nobody got behind the defense. Not a lot of blown plays. And when they wanted to buckle down, they tightened up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that bend don't break defense. Now, while I don't agree with it, and while I think that they have talent, it's also preseason, so they're playing base. They're not blitzing, they're not disguising a lot of coverages. They're not doing really anything unique on defense. They're just running the basic plays and it's the same thing kind of on offense, because you don't want to give up too much film in the preseason. So, I really liked what the defense was doing in terms of coverage. Now, I don't know if you noticed, how about those defensive backs, especially Martin Emerson Jr., okay?
MJ?
He was out there blanketing people. Even Zay Jones, who had an impressive catch at the beginning of the game.
Bro, he was on him. That was even good defense there.
Yeah, that was great defense. And
there's just a perfect drop.
There was, and I don't know if it was just me, but it almost seemed like every time that a Browns, when it wasn't zone, or when a defender was totally engaged with the person that they were covering, receiver, tight end, running back, whatever, but they were just blanketing them. And they were just showing plays where, they were just coverage sacks, which is great considering the fact that Miles and Jadeveon didn't play. So a lot of these defensive tackles for the Browns just kind of took advantage, and I'm glad that they did. But it was just nuts, because you didn't see that a lot till like the end of the year, and we know that we have one of the best secondaries in the NFL. So it was really cool to see that, especially with Denzel and Greg, not out there. So
Dude, Grady looked really good. He looked really good. Like, he didn't have the I guess it was a harness on his shoulder last
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Like, because he had that dead shoulder back in 19 and a lot of
Mhm.
20. But dude, he looks solid. Like you said,
So
Martin Emerson.
yeah, Martin Emerson with
AJ
and
Green.
that was awesome with the bully ball that he did there for that pick six.
Dude,
Just
he
ripped
just
it out
went.
of his hands. And that's what you want out of defenders. You want them to be just more physical, and you want them to you want the offense to earn their yardage. So it was just awesome.
You go
to see him
back
rip
to
that
when we
out.
drafted him, and you
Mhm.
remember what I said. I didn't realize who it was, but when we got him, I was like, dude, that dude is a menace. He is kind of like George Pickens, but on defense.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's insane. And how about the edge rushers, man? Isaiah Thomas, Isaac Rochelle.
So with Isaiah Thomas, it's so funny because 7th-round pick, you don't think that he'd really get on the field much because he's not he was graded poorly as a run defender. He had his kind of things here and there off the field that are kind of minor and in the past, but he came out and he just dominated. And it was nuts. I mean, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. You love seeing that because it's like, and granted, now look at and everybody was kind of asking what happened to Alex Wright. Well, Alex Wright kind of showed us, kind of what we thought Alex Wright was, kind of raw talent. He's still got to get some things together in terms of, I mean, he bit really hard on his own read.
Oh yeah,
And he got caught looking bad as Trevor Lawrence took it for a first down by the ground there, and then as well as roughing the passer, which I thought was kind of ticky tacky. But
yeah.
Don't hit the QB in the helmet, man, because I'll call that every time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's just so Isaiah Rochelle, free agent pickup, and it's like even Winnow put on good tape.
Yeah.
So it's like you have your secondary that's extremely deep and everybody's making plays. And then you have your D line, crazy depth.
And then
everybody's making plays.
Chris Odom that we just
Chris
got.
Oben, yeah, from
dude,
the
he's
USFL.
solid. I didn't think he had that dog in him, but I think he does, man. He's solid.
Well, I mean, USFL Defensive Player of the Year, so he had some dog in him.
He's a dog,
we just
man.
we didn't know how much.
And,
so
dude, just look at how we've easily, like, I don't care what anybody says, we've got the deepest edge rushers in the league. I mean, Myles Garrett, arguably the best. Jadeveon Clowney, Isaac Rochelle, Chase Winovich, Alex Wright, Isaiah Thomas, Chris Odom, dude, and there's so many more. And like the thing is like, how are we going to keep all these dudes? That's the crazy thing.
Iron sharpens iron, and the best part about it is that we're going to be getting the best 5 or 6 guys that come out of this bunch. So that's and like that'll say something, and it's kind of nuts because Myles and Clowney alone, are tied for number 1 in most pressure amongst pass rusher duos in the NFL. And that's just them. And behind them we have guys that are obviously hungry for playing time. I mean, Isaiah Thomas was playing like it was hairs on fire. And
then Curtis Weaver too. Forgot about him.
Yeah, Curtis Weaver. It was kind of looking like he wasn't gonna kind of make it out of this thing for the longest time, and like it's nuts because it's the kind of the roster all around has kind of been like this for a while in terms of what we're looking for in training camp because it's just like it's a shame because we see all these guys making plays and we can't keep all of them. And the cuts are coming soon. They got to cut 5 by what is
tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yep.
So, we're going to hear some names that are going to be dropped, and hopefully things work out for them. When they leave Cleveland.
Yeah.
But it's just the good thing is that we're getting the best of the best via these cuts. It's just gonna suck because you're gonna see one or 2 of these guys and they're going to go to another team and they're going to contribute and they're going to play really well. And you're going to be like, dang, I wish we would have kept him. Well, roster spots are roster spots, man,
Yeah.
and you can only keep so many.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, as we keep moving forward, like getting closer and closer to the regular season, man, I just got to go back to the wide receiver, man. Like, I honestly think once we get down to the 53 man, they're going to cut a couple extra spots and then they're going to fill it up with wide receivers. Because there's going to be some shocking receivers get cut. Like, there's going to be somebody, we just don't know who it is yet. There's always, like, shocking people that get cut.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because both the wide receiver and the kick returner, punt returner position got blown wide open when Jakeem Grant went down. Because I'm telling you, and people might think, oh, we just signed him as a kick returner. No, there was an offensive game plan for this guy,
Yeah,
and
for
he
sure.
was the fail safe. If Schwartz wasn't going to work out, now that's gone, and now it's just like, okay. Now we need to find a threat at kick returner and punt returner. We need to find a deep threat that will actually catch the ball. And the crazy part about it is that Schwartz is top 5 fastest guys in the league. The guy can run like a cheetah.
Mm-hmm.
Like people talk about like Tyreek Hill, like Schwartz, same speed, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He just can't catch, and I don't know whether it's just.
Honestly, I think we're kind of using him wrong. You go back to his Auburn tape; he didn't have like crazy like stats or anything in Auburn. But like you go back to look at like how he did, like what he was doing. A lot of his stuff was like bubble screens, little just short routes, him turn around, or it would just be sweeps. Like you got to get him the ball and just let him do his thing. You kind of got to do like the Tyreek Hill thing, like with all the little sweeps, the little screen passes. Like you just got to get the ball in his hands and then let him, like stuff like that.
And the problem is with that is that people do have to remember this is a Kevin Stefanski offense. This is guys where now granted, Mari Cooper, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Those are the only 3 guys that I can tell you right now that are guaranteed for more than 5 or 6 touches a game. Everybody else is going to be just fighting for it.
Well, David Njoku, you got to get him those touches now. You paid him.
Yeah. You paid David Njoku. You got to get him those touches. So it's just like there's a lot of people that got to touch the ball, and that's the problem with this. You don't have a time in the game. You literally do not have time to just keep feeding this guy this ball and get his confidence up and kind of create like almost a whole game plan for him because you got everybody else. You need those like 2 or 3 times when he's called upon in the game. You need him to just nail it and catch the football.
Like I mean, what's crazy to me is you go back to the Chargers, the Chiefs game. Mm-hmm. First game he ever plays in the NFL. Mm-hmm. 3 receptions for like 71 yards.
Yep.
We thought we had him. Like we thought, okay, this is why we took him in the 3rd round. Like this dude's gonna be a dog.
I was telling everybody, and he was just like, he's like, watch Schwartz, because I found out about Schwartz from an old high school teammate of mine that went on to win the Horizon League at YSU, real track star, and he's like, dude, Anthony Schwartz 3rd round, Brown's got to steal. So when that Chiefs game happened, and I was telling everybody, look out for Schwartz, he's got blazing speed. And a lot of people, to Cleveland media's credit, a lot of people were kind of on that train as well. But when that Chiefs game happened, it was just blown wide open. They're like, oh my gosh, Anthony Schwartz, what he could do for this, for this offense. And then we saw kind of really who the real Anthony Schwartz was. And we should have known from the beginning, because if he doesn't bobble that pass, that deep ball from Baker Mayfield, that's a touchdown. And that's the difference between great and average. It's that extra step, and he's just got it. I don't want to keep crapping on the guy. He's got couple more chances in training camp. So
I say he has the next 2 preseason games, and then I'll say he has till about week 5.
Yeah, and just like even then, I mean, granted, they can keep playing him, but he might lose you a ball game or two with that kind of like you just gotta, as a wide receiver, you gotta catch the football. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you can do if you can't catch the football.
Well, that's why Jarvis Landry was so valuable to us. I mean, he didn't have the best stats, he didn't have the best speed, but
Literally one of the slowest wide receivers in all of NFL history.
Yeah,
but
he could catch
he
the
was
football.
A dog because he could catch the football.
Like, he had like the most catches throughout the first 6 years of his career.
Yeah, set the record. His jersey's in Canton.
So I mean, he's obviously a dog, but moving forward, just recapping on the preseason game, who was like one player that stood out most to you?
Stood out most to me. I definitely have to go. Martin Emerson Jr. It's I'm eating my crow with that pick because I was furious when they traded back from 44 and then they pick at 68 and there's a bunch of good like pass rushers and a couple good defensive tackles. You guys know I'm a big lineman guy.
Bro, I was with you, man. I was like pounding on the table for Travis Jones.
I was furious when I heard cornerback. When I heard the word cornerback, not even his name. I heard cornerback, and I just went, "What the?" But So looking into his tape and the fact that he led the SEC in 2020 in pass breakups with 11, and the SEC, they got wide receivers, man. They got some dogs and they got some speed down south,
bro.
So
listen, when I saw this dude. Okay, Wandel Robinson, you know how high I was on him in the draft.
Yeah.
I saw this dude crack Wandel Robinson come through out of nowhere. Like, I mean, Kentucky did not have a chance that whole game. And Martin Emerson was, like, I hated the dude. Like, honestly, I was so mad. Like, I didn't know who he was, but I could remember his number. And I was like, I cannot stand this dude. Like, I was so mad. And dude.
He's just so long, dude. It's just it's crazy because that's really not about one of those like it's having a long wingspan is not. Yes, facts. Absolutely.
Waffles better than pancakes any day of the week.
Pancakes are just weird.
8 days a week, 25 hours a day. Waffles over pancakes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Before we get back into it, no. I want to touch on this right now. Okay, the people who eat pancakes instead of waffles are the same kind of people that would ride a bicycle with square tires
and training wheels.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what to tell you, dude. I just don't. But going back to Martin Emerson Jr., he's got those just absolute long arms, and there was one play where it was incomplete out of the back left corner of the end zone, and you just see 23 just in this long arm just come out of nowhere and just barely nick the ball to the point where he just couldn't corral it in totally, and he dropped it and saved the touchdown. But it's just he's got such an advantage just simply because of his long strides and long arms. And granted, he's also extremely smart too. I believe he was on a roll with a very high GPA, if I can remember. But it's great to see that, your team's first pick in the draft is so solid. And, little kind of tidbit looking down the line. Now, granted, I don't think this will happen until probably end of the year this year, going into next year, but he's going to play a little bit of safety. He's going to be in that MJ Stewart role. And because he's that bigger frame and the dude can hit. And I'm telling you, I'm very excited about him. Even though, and shout out to him for just making me look like an absolute fool saying that, the pick didn't make sense because I'll wear my clown nose on this one, man. I was definitely dead wrong about him. And he just absolutely impressed me Friday night.
Yeah, he's a dog. I could see the safety move too, but, homie right here says, I made waffles and bacon and peanut butter sandwich yesterday. Like, whoa. Like, did you make a waffle sandwich?
I bet you. So he did. Yeah, I bet you he did. Yeah, he did the sandwich and then he waffle pressed it. And if that's what he did, I respect you for life. Absolutely. I mean,
you got the greatness of a waffle.
That's a big play. That's a big play.
You got the great tasting of bacon, and then you add the protein and goodness of peanut butter. Oh man, that's a dog sandwich. But I'm gonna tell you who my the KFC Certified Dog of the Week is. And it's Isaiah Thomas, man. The dude ate. I was so hot, man, because when we picked him, I was kind of like, I didn't know we could pick that little 5'9" point guard that we had here in Cleveland for like 2 months. But I was like, oh yeah, this is a kid out of Oklahoma. I was like, really? Though, but we got another Sooner. But he's really shocked me. I looked at his stats. He had like 10.5 last year at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He's pretty solid in pass rush, and
Mm-hmm.
he just kind of proved, the 2 sacks, like you said, 3 tackles for a loss. The dude came and showed his worth, and loved it. I love it.
And I mean, we were talking about it earlier. Like, it's really great to see this defense front loaded and back loaded, and it kind of, now, granted, stop me if I'm like, if I'm too much.
All right, let's hear it.
But they have kind of like what Seattle did, where they built it from the back to the front in
the
terms
Legion?
of the secondary. Yeah, the Legion of Boom. But they have a better defensive line than that Seahawks team had.
Well, the thing that helped them, I think, a lot too was they also had an elite linebacker crew too. I mean, you had Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright. I mean, they were everywhere. Plus, I mean, you had Richard Sherman.
Well, hold on. So you said elite linebacker group. So you have JOK, who was the best graded rookie last year and the ultimate X factor on defense. Now you have Anthony Walker. So everybody's like, oh, Anthony Walker, no. So dude. Anthony Walker had over 100 tackles last year. Dog. And his missed tackle percentage? 5%. 5% missed tackle percentage. So, I mean, the dude, sure, like, when he's got you in the grass, man, you're down. And
he's so solid, man. Like, I mean, I knew what we were getting when you saw the Colts locker room literally just start tweeting like crazy. They're like, I can't believe we lost him. And when you have like a superstar player like Darius Leonard come out and say, man, we really lost a big one. I was like,
I put out my tweet about, Anthony Walker Jr. Now, granted, I have C-level clout on Twitter. It's just, I have a decent amount of followers, but not like something that reaches, across the pond here. Yeah. 98% of my followers are from Browns Twitter.
Yeah.
And I have Darius Leonard, the maniac, quote tweeting me, hey, that's my dog. Like, yeah.
Shoot, bro, I see you.
Real.
Bro, you got bumped up to B.
Yeah,
right they got you to be.
That was so cool, but also in the same sense. I mean, that means something.
Yeah,
and a lot of people credit to Jeff Lloyd because he's the last one that I can remember to say this. But that's what kind of the Browns thought that he would be able to do for JOK what he did for Darius Leonard. So it's just top to bottom, this defense just looks absolutely solid. We saw a lot of depth players make plays on defense, and granted, with all this offensive chaos, this possible chaos on special teams with Jakeem Grant, it's really nice to know to look on the other side of the ball and say, hey. And granted, it's preseason. It also kind of happened a little bit later in the game, but you saw what happened once the pick six happened. It was like a completely different ballgame.
Well, they didn't score again.
They didn't score again. Not even a field goal.
Momentum shifted.
All punts.
Yep. And it kind of felt like a fantasy, scoring 23-0, like being a Cleveland Browns fan. And speaking of fantasy, we have Underdog Fantasy. It's the best and easiest place for fantasy sports. You can sign up now with code 216, and they'll double your first deposit up to $100 in bonus cash. $100 extra free.
Now hold on. Free money?
Free.
Free money.
It's free.
I just don't understand. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna play fantasy football anyway.
Uh-huh.
If you don't play fantasy football, you're just not into
A
football. I
loser.
mean, nothing wrong with it.
They
Nothing
probably
wrong
eat
with it,
pancakes, man.
yeah, probably. But if you're 98% of the population that plays fantasy football, you might as well sign up somewhere that gives you free money. It just
Free.
I use the code myself. I got free money.
Me too.
You want to know why? Because I'm smart and I like free money.
You take advantage of that.
Take advantage of the free money.
Free. That was the best. We gotta crop that one. That was good crop.
I couldn't even. I tried to say something, I couldn't even cut it out. But props to you for doing the reading this episode. Usually Manny does it, aka the adult in the room. But we're definitely missing him tonight. Obviously Ed was off doing Ed things.
Yeah, he's
but
on
God
assignment.
bless him. He's on assignment. Yeah.
He's getting in tune with the with the Browns, the dog pound. Oh man. I about forgot it, and then I looked at that. I got a little the prompt right over here, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I might want to do that."
Might have had a producer that would have been upset with us if we didn't do the reading. But on another
they better be lucky I could read it.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I was kind of worried about. I was like, I don't have the prompt. Christian has it, and
What are you trying to
I
say?
don't want to. I don't.
What are you trying to say, Matt? You saying I can't read?
I never said that. Never said that.
I use the bird app, man. Obviously, I can read.
Yeah, but not well. I mean, you know what I mean. You can read, but it's just.
I'm done. You know what? This is Mac the Buffalo's last episode on Down with the Browns.
Well, so before I get banned, I realized that we forgot to answer the question about Jed Wills.
Oh yeah.
So as a huge Jed Wills hater, crown me at whatever. I actually thought he played pretty well. The holding call was, I didn't like that at all. But also it was on Trayvon Walker, who is a giant human being who can move.
The first pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, first pick in the draft. So as Jed Wills first game back fully healthy. I thought he played pretty well. I thought he held his ground a little bit. Obviously, room for improvement, and obviously not hold when you get beat.
Yeah.
God, I can't. If you're gonna hold him, at least pancake. Put his helmet in the dirt. I mean,
that's the only acceptable pancake too.
Yeah. It just he blew by him. Gave him a power move inside, and he just held on for dear life. So, but yeah, I think there's. I think he's on the up and up. Again, he's been working really hard this offseason. So,
yeah.
I think he'll do pretty well. I don't think I think he's still got a long way to go, but he's still a young player. What is he, 23, I believe? Yeah, 23. So it's still a relatively young guy. He's still got quite a bit to learn. But good news is that the Hoff, Joe Thomas,
has been working
future
with him.
Hall of Famer, has been working with him. So one of the greatest left tackles of all time, let alone in Browns history, working with you there. So yeah, I think things are looking up for Jed Wills.
Gotta love it. So we play the Eagles this upcoming Sunday. Who is one player that you are excited to see play?
Excited to see play. Here, I'll give you one. David Bell. Everybody's talking about this wide receiver room. Well, there's our rookie wide receiver, the guy that didn't drop a pass, even though he said, hey man, I dropped this one, the other day in practice, but nobody caught it. And he's like, yeah, I had a drop, but
that's like a tree falling in the middle of a forest.
Yeah.
It has no sound.
You don't see it, so you don't think that it's real.
Yeah.
But it's just I'm really excited to see him. A lot of people are just knocking him for his 40 speed, but guess what? 40 speed doesn't matter when you're putting over 100 yards on top program. When you can catch the football straight. I mean, now people are going to call me crazy, but I got a comp for him. He plays like Anquan Bolden. He's
I've
big.
said that multiple
He'll
times.
catch the ball.
Great
And
minds think
Grant,
alike, baby.
he's not the fastest, but he's still a son of a gun to tackle. He's a big body. He's a big body with big hands, and he's got a giant. There was one of my favorite David Bell clips from college is, I believe it was Northwestern. The defensive back intercepted it, and like clear interception. We're not talking about like two people meeting at the ball and then somebody coming out with it. Literally, he caught it, went to take 2 steps down, and David Bell just ripped it out of his hands.
He's a dog.
And it's just like David Bell's one of those guys to where, he will make the quarterback's job 100% easier.
Yeah.
And that's what Jacoby Brissett needs. And that's what Deshaun Watson needs when he ultimately comes back, because he inevitably, as superhuman as everybody painted him to be, he still had some rust on him. And he's going to have rust when he comes back. Yeah. So you want a player like David Bell on the field. It's really Amari Cooper, DPJ, and then everything else is fill-ins, because you have the availability of Mike Woods. Yes, he played really good in training camp, but the hammy that plagued him earlier on in the offseason.
And even in college,
Mike Harley Jr. went down. So it's kind of scary. Another scary injury there. Schwartz is in and out of the training room with injuries, and he can't catch the ball. So he's kind of caught like a double negative thing for him. So it's just like I'm looking for somebody from the wide receiver room to make a play. And we're going to see David Bell for the very first time, and I am beyond excited to see him play.
I'm pretty hot myself. But there's one player I'm a little bit more excited to see. Ooh. And then that's running back Jerome Ford.
Ooh, okay.
Dude, he impressed me a lot in that game. I know it is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know it was second team, but still, man, that cutback on that 41-yard rush, that wasn't a preseason cutback, man. Like, he should have got dropped, and he took it 41 yards.
Yeah,
I like this.
It was
Ford
tough, yeah.
Tough. I love it. And honestly, he kind of had like a mixture of like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. When I was watching him, the cutback kind of looked like Chubb, and the way he was running kind of looked like Kareem to me.
Yeah, it's also good to note that he was the receptions leader too. A lot of catches out of the backfield, which is going to get him time, because
2 tutties.
Ultimately, the Browns, and granted, I don't really like this approach, but the Browns are always cautious with Nick Chubb and his touches.
Yeah.
And Kareem can't, be the receiving back all the time. There's got to be something else. Dearness Johnson, bless his heart, but he's more of a runner.
Yep.
So, the fact that Jerome Ford can get those touches, he's gonna get some time. He's really proving himself, and when he hits that second gear, it's definitely something to watch.
I love it, man. I'm just so hopped. We got some depth. We got some talented pieces on these teams. It's what's so fun as a Browns fan now is arguing, should we trade this piece of talent because we expect this piece of talent to be good in a couple of years, and we shouldn't waste his time developing and letting him sit back and let him get angry and then request for a trade? Or should we just, it's so good seeing like all this great talent and arguing, should we move on from this guy so we can let this guy flourish? Stuff like that. Like Nick Chubb with going back to Nick Chubb's rookie year. We had to get rid of Carlos Hyde so Nick Chubb could flourish. Stuff like that. Like, I love to see it.
Well, yeah, but it's also to note that that Nick Chubb got 3 touches for over 40 yards, and then Hugh Jackson was like, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't hand this guy the ball," and that's
Hubert Jackson. Yeah. Anyways, well, Mac, we've had a great episode. Honestly, I didn't think we talked for this long. This is an odd episode, not gonna lie. I don't think me and you've ever just sat here and talked on this.
I think we've had one. We've definitely had one where it's just me and you.
Really?
I think it was in the before times. as in like before.
Oh, like before we went live.
Yeah,
Back
before
on the
we
Skype
went
calls.
live, back on the Skype call. Oh man, those were the days.
Those
Those
were
were the days. But
back
it's
over.
definitely super quiet out, without Ed.
Yeah.
It's
I don't feel like I'm energized, Like I'm not nothing against you.
yeah.
I didn't take any pre-workout today or have any energy drinks. So
Oh yeah, no, that'll definitely do it.
that definitely does it,
Yeah, your resting heart rate is at a normal rate instead of, the 120 beats per minute or whatever measurement that is. It's usually at.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun. And go Browns.
Go Browns, baby.